Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel outside the target demographic. Today I'm going to be showing you my Victorinox Swiss Champ. Let's get started. Alright, so a little bit of a clickbait there. I am in no way prepared to have a thorough discussion and breakdown on this Swiss Champ. I've had it for 5 years. It does everything. It's a third arm. It's a third hand. I use literally every tool on this tool at least once a month, including the awe and the hook and all the things. I'm not prepared to cover that today. What I will be discussing is the wood scales. So the plastic scales, as the internet will inform you, are crap, subpar. I had a couple cracks in them. I replaced them because, again, this is my everyday carry. It literally is attached to my hips at all times, except when it isn't because it's in my hand. The scales broke. Put on some new ones, they broke. So I went ahead and put on some wood ones. And what I'm liking about it so far is, one, each one of the scratches isn't, wow, that looks like crap. It's, wow, that's some character. You've been using it. And as it cuts away at the surface a little bit, it's exposing the texture and quality of the wood. So to me, the more abuse it gets, kind of the more authentic it looks, the better it looks. It's hard to explain. Secondly, I've been known to work with oil on my hands. Get your minds out of the gutter. When I'm working on medical equipment, some of them have fluids that I'm going to choose to believe didn't come out of the human body. Some of them do. Hydraulic fluid, oils, cooling oils, x-ray heads. Turns out when you fire an x-ray, it's thousands of watts. So with wattage will measure electrical attributes as well as heat, as it turns out. So when you fire an x-ray, you're generating a crap ton of heat right now. They usually have those heads surrounded in an oil bath, and that oil is a heat absorber. It will pull the heat away from the x-ray head and allow you to fire it a couple times in a faster succession without destroying the internals. All that to say, I've been known to have oil on my hands. The last thing you need is plastic that you're trying to grab and not drop as your hands are covered in oil. So having a wood surface, I mean, we've had hammers that have wood handles and shovels that have wood handles. And I feel like the wood, your fingers can just grab it better than something that's plastic. It's hard to explain. But I feel like you gain, +5 grip on a tool that by design is smaller, heavy, but smaller. It is a pocket knife, so it goes in the pocket. Having something a little bit more texturous, that's a new word, and you're welcome to use it, I feel is advantageous. I am terrible with woodworking. I don't know why. It could be the type of wood I'm using. I don't know. But whittling and stuff like that, I find I don't have a gift or really a skill set for. So the notion of coming up with wood scales was a new one for me. Honestly, I'm surprised at how well it went, and there's a bit of a secret for that. Hold on to it. But I wanted to try my hand at it. And another thing I wanted to try was using the tool to create the scales that go on the tool. So it adds a little bit of customization, utility, and that you have a better grip. And it was going out of my regular skill set to come up with a new set of scales. What I did, the trick, was I already had the broken scale, right? It had a crack from here to about here. You may have seen it in other videos where this guy has been featured. Again, third arm. You'll see it all throughout my channel. The scales were essentially, the outline existed. The problem was it was cracked. I tried gluing it a couple times. It didn't hold up, stuff like that. So what I needed was a very thin piece of wood that would mimic the same dimension, the same thickness as the original plastic scales. Now, I could go out into the yard and I could find any random stick and try curing it and then try shaving it and sanding it and I am in no way prepared for that. So if only there were an item that existed out in the world that anyone could get for free at, oh, hey, look, a paint stick. Turns out that's exactly the thickness you needed. If you were smart about it, which I wasn't, you could cut it right at the tape measure portion. I wish that the light would work with me. But you could cut it where you now have a built-in ruler as well. I didn't know that this one existed, so passing on that information to you guys. But that is exactly the right thickness you need. It's a soft enough wood where I used the saw to rough cut. Then I used, honestly, just the knife blade. And I was able to round off the corners. I was able to relatively roll the corners, chamfer them, whatever it's called, to make it less blocky. I will share that I did use some sandpaper, which is not included on the Swiss Army knife, as it turns out. One of the few things that is not included. But I was able to round off those edges, give it a little bit of quality, give it a little bit better grip and purchase in the hand. And it cost me nothing. The wood is soft enough. Again, you could cut it with the saw. You could cut it with your knives. And then what I did is I ditched the toothpick and the tweezers. Honestly, don't use them. I feel like this wood, and this was the first time I did this, as beautifully as it turned out. Being able to cut into the wood not close enough to have the wood start splitting on you was of concern. So I ditched the two tools I don't use, and I kept the two tools I do use. Two tools. And that is the pen and the pen. So I was able to keep the writing pen. I put some black paint on there, which I feel contrasts a little bit better with the wood. It's easier to find, and more importantly, it's easier to help other people find. Hey, do you have a pen? Yeah, I do. Go ahead and pull it. It's the black piece there, right? And then just by pushing it into the wood, I'm able to store the push pen into the wood as well. Keep a neodymium magnet in there. Not so much because I need a neodymium magnet, but it turns out a neodymium magnet is magnetic. So now every tool on this guy is magnetic. What I was able to do is you can cut it, smooth it, shave it. I clamped it down, and since this wood is soft enough, I literally just put my body weight on it, did some CPR, and underneath your scales, the clear ones, if you can look, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 brass studs, and those are the contact points, the pivot points that run all the way through the tool and allow the tools to rotate on it. So it's the axle of your cars, right? They stand proud. They stand past the tool set. So when you CPR this into the wood, you now have 4 little indents, and that's where you need to hollow out in the wood to allow them to sit much more flush. Well, between the screwdriver, the awl, and the chisel, I was able to scrape out those circles well enough for them to fit into place. I brought them back up, used a little dab, 1, 2, 3 of super glue, a couple rubber bands, wrapped it around it, and now I have a built by myself, hand carved, totally not balsa wood scales. So if you'd like to add a little bit of customization, a little bit of that's my tool and I helped build some aspect of it, this seems like a very easy modification, skill set builder, something your kids could do for you, right? Gift giving idea for the kids to you for Father's Day, Christmas, something like that. And it teaches them how to use the tool and use the tool safely, an application that they could use in real life, proof that the tool, has some functionality for those of you who feel that it doesn't, blah, 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 blah. But I feel that it makes it mine. It makes it easier to hold. It makes it a little customized if you were so inclined and had the skill set to do so. If you had a wood burning kit, you could burn your name into the side of it. You could use a calligraphy pen and write it on there. You could write your name, your address, telephone number, all sorts of different things you can do by upgrading from plastic to wood scales. As always, this is outside the target demographic. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Any questions, comments, concerns you have, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.